show. This is Dale Matthews. I'm joined by Mike Jones. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Dale. What's going on tonight?
Well, we'll be doing a little catch up on stories. We've
Oh, that's I love
it's
ketchup.
like a little catch up on stories. Now I'm getting hungry. Okay, good night, everybody. In this particular case, we'll be talking about some of the interlocking patterns that are happening here in Grants Pass and Josephine County, but never in Cave Junction because they're not related to us anyway. I don't know what's the matter with those guys. At least one of the people there. We'll be talking about the Daily Courier. We'll be talking about what happened with this story and how it's being picked up nationwide. Our story about our wonderful county commissioners. But first we're going to start with, before we get all into heavier issues, we're going to start with something which I find rather amusing. You may remember that we had a lot of reaction from a lot of people to the idea of a new logo, a new slogan for Grants Pass. It was "Don't wear underwear." What was that thing called?
Go rogue. No, live rogue.
Go rogue. Go rogue. That's what
Go rogue.
I'm going to go to the city council meeting without my underwear. Nobody would know, but yeah. So, they had this.
Well, they would know if you didn't also wear your pants.
Right, which we're not doing tonight. Sometimes we call that lower third down here.
Yeah,
lower thirds, wearing our
can't
pants.
See nothing.
This is a joke. Well, you don't know.
What you don't see won't hurt you.
Yeah. Well.
Or
so
something.
Moving on. So what we found was it was almost identical to something that could be gotten for, was it $2.95? I think it was. It was also almost exactly the same as the logo for Gold Hill. Well, there's one reason I'm going to the Gold Hill meetings. I'll be there on Monday. And it just was fairly generic. And a number of people said, look, why are we changing this for this huge cost? Why would we do that? The logo is anemic. The colors are wimpy. What are we doing? And so,
colors are wimpy.
So John Bowen and his experienced Grants Pass, I think that's what it's called, who came up with this brilliant idea, and the councilors who were backing it really had to back off because they got a roaring response from the local community. It's not the most important issue in the world, but what's the matter with you guys? Don't spend that kind of money on this kind of thing. Stop it. Would you please try to monitor our money a little closer? That's the way I recall it.
and it's too bad that John doesn't make a better logo because he makes a pretty good burger.
Ketchup. So,
he's the Jimmy's guy, right? Isn't
John
he
Bowen is?
I thought he was the guy who owned Jimmy's.
I don't know. Or he does now. He used to. What anyway?
Yeah.
So that's why we were very surprised to see suddenly that whole slogan and logo thing is back. Mike.
Are you talking about this?
Yes. Well, gee, that looks kind of familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does look kind of familiar. You know what I ought to do while you vamp on this? I could look in the archives here and see if I can find the logo because I think I have it somewhere.
Yeah, so this says obviously welcome to Grants Pass, and there's the same dang logo that they used in Gold Hill and a variety of other places. And this is the one that we said, well, listen, fellas, we don't like this. Well, this comes from the file that we could call "They're going to do it anyway." That's a big, thick file. And here's what the representative of the Chamber of Commerce. You may have thought that we're working together on defeating this on Tuesday night, defeating this.
Yeah, okay. Here's the logo that they had, and I think somebody put it's the climate thing in there, and then there's that, and there's that, and there's that. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So here's what they had to say. This is not a logo. It's called a gateway sign. It's totally different than a branding sign. Remember they said we're going to change it? This is totally different. Get with the program.
Ah.
We did take some of the ideas that were out there, the ones we all hated, and incorporated them. Now, who is behind this? Who is behind seeing that we get this thing, whether we say that we don't want it or not? Well, it's mostly the same people who have been pushing for the last decade. Every 6 months, it seems like, sometimes it was every 6 months or every year, pushing for raising property taxes. Listen to some of the people involved with this. That would be All Care Health. It would be Copeland Landscape Supply. It would be Experience Grants Pass, which I think is John Bowen, the same guy that came up with the original idea. John Bowen himself. These are sign sponsors. Get this one: the Josephine County Fairgrounds. Now, okay, remember how they said we're sucking air, we don't have enough money, maybe you won't have a fair at all, maybe nothing good is going to happen in this life unless you donate money to us?
Mm-hmm.
Now they've got enough money to put time and effort and money into this sign that we didn't want.
Yeah, it sounds pretty typical. And now
they're rolling in the books.
I dug around in there because I knew we had a bunch of different logos. And some were made by people for like $2, and then one was this one that they spent thousands on. And here's the actual logo, and it even has a more striking resemblance to this sign than okay. So take a good look at the sign, see where the hills and the sun and the river are, and then here's the logo. That's almost exactly. Look, the sun is down on the river now. First of all, does anybody ever see the sun setting in that little notch on the way over to Medford? I don't think so. Or coming up there.
Yeah, it wouldn't be setting there.
Rising east, set in the west. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
yeah. It would have to be coming up there. Right.
Yeah, okay.
So one of the people that pushed hard for this in the first place was a fellow that was on the city council in the first place, Dennis. Pastor Dennis Weber, right?
Mm.
So one of the sponsors behind this is also Parkway Christian Center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you wonder how that happened?
Now, does that mean that they paid a bunch of money
for
it?
It doesn't say. It just said sign sponsors. So did they? How much money did your Josephine County Fairgrounds put in? And how much of that money came out of your pocket or out of the county's pocket?
That's a good question.
And why would John Bowen be continuing to press for this? Well, I think we know the reason. It probably is speculation, but it's not the world's most important story. But maybe because he felt a little burned by the way people thought he had a lunkhead idea, and now he's going to prove, well, I'm going to have this sign put up, and you just can just
people are going to love it.
Yes. Oh, there's always that possibility. Yeah. Well, like happened with the Lions Club. Why, we're not going to have fireworks this year. We'll have a mural. A mural? Oh, yes. And I'm not kidding you. Kids will love the mural even more than fireworks. Oh, what planet are you from? They'll just all gather around and say, what a wonderful mural. It's much better than fireworks.
Right. That'd be like, trick or treating and having a mural instead of trick or treating. Yes, that would not work either. Yeah.
But keep in mind, as Linda Bradley says, I like Linda Bradley, but really, this is the Kool-Aid. This is not a logo. It's called a gateway sign. It's totally different than a branding sign. Why? It's a gateway sign.
Yeah, I mean, Dale, can't you see that? Look. See, these are not at all the same. There's nothing the same about this.
Yes.
It's those hills there are totally different. Now, look, the sun has a couple of extra rings on it. Slightly different shape. There's no live rogue thing going on there.
Yes. No rogue. Now, this cost them $6,000, and two of them is going to cost $12,000.
Mm-hmm.
They just did it anyway. This is from the file of they just did it anyway. One of the other people that was involved in this was Logan Design. Logan Design was the one that worked with the fairgrounds. And I've donated money to the fairgrounds. We wish the fairgrounds well. Probably all of us do. But they donated money to the fairgrounds. They helped out the fairgrounds by making that big thermometer sign that was up there. That, you know, here's the money that we've gathered so far. And one of the you can't complain about everything. I try. But one of the things about that was it was a fake thermometer sign, not a fake thermometer that it wasn't taking your temperature. I'm not talking about that. I'm not crazy. I just play a crazy person on TV. No, it was fake in that it was showing that they were making more progress than they were because they faked the numbers along the side. And I went to the fairgrounds person and I said, this is fake. Well, yeah, Logan Design, you know, and I said, but you didn't have to accept it. You didn't have to put it up there saying, look how well we're doing, because it was like these gradations that made it look like they were halfway to their goal. I said, are you halfway to your goal? No, we're about a quarter of the way. Well, look at this. It's half, the thing is half up there. Well, yeah, that kind of helps with the perception. It's a misperception.
It's splitting hairs, you know.
Oh, I mean, really? To show that you've collected half the money when you haven't?
Oh, yes, but I don't think anybody would have. I mean, didn't they have things on there that said, you know, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, whatever?
Yeah, but when you're going up in 10,000 increments, and then suddenly you jump 30,000. That has a tendency to make it look like you've collected more money than you have.
Yeah, it's not an accurate thermometer.
Yeah. No, it was fake. It was fakey. It's like the Courier's poll, which proved was a fake.
Now, are you blaming Logan Designs for that? Because
they were the ones that made it, according to the fair manager. She didn't have anything to do with all that. Logan Design decided that. Well, here you go.
They didn't have anything to do with it because you're criticizing me and I need to find somebody to throw under the bus here. I mean, Logan's Designs, they make signs. That's what they do.
They do, but they donated, apparently. That's so very nice that they thank you for donating. Do you need to donate it with a fake chart? Anyway, never mind then. It's all this thing about all these guys being connected in one way or another. If it's not a sales tax, it's a property tax, it's a this tax, it's a that tax. They're all working together. Why? This is not anything like what you've ever seen before. Don't lie to me.
Never seen anything like this.
Doing that. Okay, so
this lady's different.
Yes, completely different.
And I expect to hear, you know, the new and improved story the next time, like what, you know, in the spring here.
Yeah, that's going to happen. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, little stories that are happening, little stories. I'm waiting to get into the meeting on Thursday, not 2 days ago, but last week. So many things have happened. It's gone, you know, little tiny stories. We have time for little tiny stories. So I mentioned this briefly. I was out in the hallway waiting to get in to see the commissioners, and there's a lot of things that happen in the hallway. There used to be a lot more things when Wally Hicks was willing to speak, but now he's got caught up in so many things, he doesn't want to speak to anybody about anything, I think, if he can avoid it. So I'm sitting there with a couple of people. We see almost every meeting. When we were playing back some of the footage where I was saying things last night about announcing this this study that had been done and the research that we had done and the follow-up from the state about the commissioners and breaking the law. Sitting behind me was a husband and wife that you see at almost every meeting. They go to every admin meeting. I don't know why they're there, but I'm there videotaping. But if we weren't videotaping, I'd want to pay attention. I'm not sure I'd want to be at every meeting. Would you? Any volunteers, by the way?
No, no. I can tell you that. No, I don't want to be at every meeting.
Okay, so
mind-numbingly boring.
I kind of like this guy, Larry Ford, although he is a constant apologist for the commissioners. Well, I just think you're doing a great job. He's not overbearing about it, but his wife is a slightly different category. Here's his wife. This is Jan Ford, and that's not Jan Ford. That's Mike Jones. And she's the one that's has maintained for quite a while now that we don't have a website. We just don't have a website. I don't know what you're watching right now, but it has nothing to do with badcounty.com because that doesn't exist. Well, she also decided to say out in the hallway, I was talking with Larry, her husband, about this story that was going to be in the Daily Courier. Here it is. And I said, they're going to come up with a story on this based on the research that we did and the state. And she said, it's not just her. See, that's not the point about it being her. It's not the point about it being her. It's just that this is what we're up against in our county. She said, whatever it ends up in the Courier, it's all going to be lies.
Yes.
It's all going to be lies. Well,
denial. I mean, the first step is admitting you have a problem.
Oh, yeah. It's all going to be lies. She hadn't read it. She certainly hadn't read the documents that we had. She hadn't heard any of the stuff that we were playing for you last night about what the state said. She hadn't heard, she hadn't read the article because it wasn't out there yet. But whatever it was going to be, this right here, it was all going to be lies. All going to be lies. Well, see, we're out there and we're trying to find, you've asked us, follow the money. Be sure that we know what these guys are doing. If they're doing something wrong, tell us about it. But there are people, and we mentioned some of them on Facebook, for example, who have banned us for life. Can't get a pizza, can't get on certain Facebook sites because they don't like what we're saying. Well, okay, but I don't want anyone else to see it either. You don't want anyone else to see it. What kind of America did you grow up in? I mean, really, you're not very hardy Americans if you say that nobody should get a chance to see it. Just relax.
Yeah, you know what?
Make sure that they never ever see it again. All they have to do is press one button, and they'll never see it again.
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of people that I disagree with, but I would never presume to, because they go to the same Facebook group site that I go to. I would never presume to try to block the things that they enjoy seeing because they're ideologically different than me. That is so bizarre to think that would be your place to say that at all, but they really do think that way.
It's like the people who steal signs at election time. We have video of that. Weird. They actually come by onto someone's lawn and steal the sign because we don't want anybody seeing this. Don't vote for the sales tax. Yeah, I don't want anyone seeing that.
The silly thing about that is those things were peppered all over town. You couldn't go a block without seeing one of those signs.
Well, we're going to steal this one, and this is not kids. These are adults and purported Americans. Yeah. And the weird thing about me again about this
about Dale
about me again is that I'm fascinated by people who say, "Well, I don't want to look at it." Okay, I'm not fascinated by that, and I don't want anyone else to be able to see it either. What? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, now that's happened in this story. Here's the story on the front page of the Courier. It was a little bit strange because I sat down with the guy from the Courier and I talked with him for about an hour. I never do this, but I said, look, I only have one request, one requirement. We're happy to share everything that we have with you. Contacts, the documents, printed it up, it was like $10 just for the thing I gave him. Happy to do that. All I ask is that would you please, don't need to get it to me, would you give badcounty.com a little credit for doing the research on this and for breaking the story? Now, I'm just competitive enough to want to be the first one. We want to be the first ones to break the story. But the next day, happy to share it with everybody for free. Happy to do so. But please give us credit, and would you spell the name right and not say that this is a blog? A blog is, here's what I had for breakfast. And I sure don't like Jason anymore because this is not a blog. This is news, right? So please do that. Okay, he agreed. Well, they didn't do it.
Well, I guess what is it? What do they say? Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah.
I want to get the news out. We all want to get the news out. Well, no, some of us don't. Okay. The people with whom we agree, like you, okay, we want to see the news get out, and it's not a matter of money, and it is a little matter of competition. We want to be first. Okay, blame me then. Okay, but the next day, boy, you can have it all. Here it is for free. We'll give you our context. Well, as he pointed out, he says, well, we could have done all that ourselves. Well, yeah, they could have. Well, but we were the ones that broke the story. Can you give us any credit at all? No. But you said you would. That's why I gave you the stuff. It was my only requirement. I never even asked that. I never asked that.
Well, Dale, you know what? Don't do that anymore. How about that?
Yeah, well, there you go. All right. But something that is happening, I think this is interesting. Here is one of the things. So you see this, I zoomed in on a little bit. Well, this story has a little bit of legs because it was picked up by the AP, Associated Press. And after it was picked up by the AP, here's an article that says Oregon Ethics Board says county violated public meetings law. Now I'm going to put on the glasses that I don't need, and I'm going to tell you what it says.
I'm amazed by this. Is it that I thought the reason why the Oregon Ethics Board never got around to dealing with what's going on in this county is because they were so busy with all the other ethics stuff that they were into all over the state. And yet now this little teeny thing gets picked up by the AP. What?
And the place that's here on this live website right now that picked it up from the AP, Washington, D.C., the Washington Times. The Washington Times, and here's what it says. Now,
they've got they have no lack of transparency and corruption to cover in Washington.
They're laughing about Josephine County.
That is amazing.
That's what they're doing. They're laughing about Josephine County. Look, we made national headlines, Mike. Isn't that terrific? Oh, bad county. Why would you call it that? Well, now you know. Here's what they say. This is great. Grants Pass, AP. An Oregon Ethics Commission has ruled that the Josephine County Board of Commissioners violated the state's public meetings laws. Now, what was it that Cheryl was saying? No, we haven't.
I thought it was preliminary, and there's no determination's been made. So the Washington Times, they probably didn't vet the story at all.
No, not like Larry Osborne would with the investment by the guys that were Simon Hare's biggest investors. Anyway, so the Daily Courier reports, well, that's nice, that and leaves out badcounty.com. That's nice to have that in the story. That the Oregon Government Ethics Commission says the Josephine Board held closed-door sessions without proper justification. That's not exactly what the Courier said, but these guys have done a little more investigation. Former County Commissioner Sandy Casanelli, for the first time she's mentioned without saying anything about how she was shamefully driven out of town on a rail, filed a complaint in January. Well, I did too, but okay, whatever. The Ethics Commission says County Commissioners Keith Eck, Cheryl Walker, and Simon Hare. Hey, Simon's finally got his name in a newspaper in Washington, D.C. Hey, isn't that the guy that used to get his coffee? Yes, it is. Violated state law by discussing general county policies in 3 closed meetings that month and once in February. Walker was absent from the February meeting. That's kind of an unnecessary detail. Commissioners can appeal the findings at a hearing or negotiate a settlement.
Right. Appeal the findings. You don't appeal something that is not a verdict.
That's correct. You can't appeal somebody that says, well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't.
Right.
There has to be a finding.
There's nothing to appeal because you're making an appeal on the basis of a conviction.
Now, I want to make it absolutely sure. I'm going to do it again here. I asked them 3 times, and you guys know what I'm like. I talked to the person that did the investigation, and I said, I want to be sure we're using the right word. Guilty. Is that the right word or the wrong word? No, guilty. And I said, no, wait. I want to be absolutely sure it's guilty. I didn't spell it for her. I wasn't that pedantic, but I said, we don't want to use the word guilty if that's the incorrect word. If there's some other, blathery word, I'm paraphrasing now, some other kind of, word that sounds, it wasn't the maximum of sunshine and transparency and there were no kittens. Whatever you tell me, is this, that's the right word. So at the end of the conversation, I said, by the way, in summary, Is it okay to use the word guilty? Is that the right word? Yes, yes. Now, how many times am I supposed to ask? The reporter at the Courier asked. Sandy Casanelli, who turned in, the only one they'll acknowledge that turned in anything. They have said that they knew that they got it from me, but since it was substantially the same as Sandy's, why bother with us? Just like why mention us in the article in the Courier. Why bother? Badcounty.com, big deal. They're nothing. So I'll get off of that horse. But the point is that we all asked. They were asked 6 times, 2 different people. So you're going to, prediction, you're going to hear them change it around at the lawyer's request, or the commissioner's, or somebody is going to say, can't you moderate that word a little bit? That sounds so bad, guilty. Yeah, well, let's use
Well,
that.
they haven't. Now, in fairness, they didn't use that word in the Courier, and they haven't used that word in any of these other articles, have they?
That's why I called them.
Yeah.
And asked them as a journalist, what's the right word here? Is this the right word? That's why the journalist at the Courier asked them. That's why the
but even after he asked them, he didn't use the word in the article.
He didn't.
Yeah.
That's right. So what's the right word? Well, they violated the law. Okay. So why not use the word guilty if they violated the law?
This is one of those things that has blown me away. And in the last 20 years, you notice they never use the word suspect anymore.
Yeah.
They never use it. They say person of interest or whatever like that, but they never say suspect, because somehow,
why can't we just be straight?
Right. Or listen, this always bothered me when George Bush, he got up on the he got up on the pile of stuff. I was looking to see if I have a little megaphone here, and he's saying, we're going to bring them to justice, and that always left me flat. Bring them to justice? I want to kill them. Let's kill them. And so why can't you just use the word? If they're guilty, they're guilty, for crying out loud.
You can't even say permanent anymore.
Yeah.
Not even if you go into the hairdressers.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Then he says, Walker and Heck say the commissioners did nothing wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because you've got those stories, which I assume are all very similar to the Courier. But then you have, what Cajo put out, and Cajo, it's like they didn't even proofread their story. They didn't even check the facts to make sure that it was the same as the.
Oh, now this is going to be hard for Mike to do because it's so poorly written. I mean, really, did any of these guys take English in school? Is it their first language? He's going to try to read it exactly the way they wrote it. And if it sounds like he's stumbling over his words, there's a reason for that. Go ahead, Mike. Tell him what Cajo said.
Okay. So legal counsel says commissioners cooperating with state ethics investigation.
That's Wally Hicks.
Ethics.
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah. The Oregon Government Ethics Commission has approved an investigation report regarding Josephine County Commissioners Keith Heck, Cheryl Walker, and Simon Hare. Approved an investigation report. Now, I could see you approving an investigation or approving a report, but an investigation report sounds like conclusive to me, because you don't report on an investigation until you're done with the investigation, and here are my findings, right? That's what it sounds like to me. So hey, that's just my blather. Okay. According to an October 26th letter, the ethics.
Now, wait a second. October 26th? Where did that come from?
Yeah, come on, Dale. Get with a program.
Well, that wasn't October 26th. Where are the facts in this?
There was. It was only, what, 4 or 5 days ago? That was October 26th.
No, the date that it was done was not October 26th at all. It was October. Okay, well.
It was, right, I think it was like the 23rd or the 21st or something.
Yeah, but it wasn't the 26th. Or the 13th. Well, it doesn't matter because Cajo's not going to get it right. Okay.
In any event, it predated this.
Yes.
What they're claiming here. So it says, according to an October 26th letter, the Ethics Commission has made a preliminary finding after it Yes, which is another way of saying, oh, this thing's still active. Don't worry about it.
Just like when Cheryl Walker put up her fingers in air quotes and said, an investigator came up with this. Yeah, like that's not like it's not really legitimate. She put up her hand like this and went, an investigator for the state. Like, what is this supposed to mean? Not really true?
Yes. Yes, like it wasn't really an investigator. It was a, yeah, that's what it was.
Matthews and drag. Yeah, I know.
Right. Okay. So anyway, according to an October 26th letter, the Ethics Commission has made a preliminary finding after it reviewed documents that pertain to 6 executive sessions that occurred in January and February. It was 6. Dale, it says it right here.
This is K-Joe. Okay, whatever.
Okay. So Josephine County Legal Counsel Wally Hicks said the finding was based strictly on documents that the commissioners provided at the commission, and don't get confused, they're talking about the Ethics Commission was asking for the documents from the commissioners.
That's also false. Now, maybe Wally said that, but these findings were not just based on strictly. It says strictly on documents. That's not true. It was not just based on documents that the commissioners provided. Where do you think it started?
Well, it had to be based originally on a complaint and then verified by the documents.
Or not verified, right.
Yeah. But, I mean, listen,
did Wally tell them that it was based strictly on documents provided?
I don't know. He may well have. I mean,
that's not true.
At this point, I'm not sure. So anyway, okay. Josephine County Legal Counsel Wally Hicks said the finding was based strictly on documents that the commissioners provided at the commission's request. The OGEC has not requested or conducted any interviews with the commissioners in this case. Yes, that's right, because they waived their right to testify, and their attorney answered it via a document, and that was their representation. They had a choice; they could have gone there.
You heard when we played that recording for you last night that some of those commissioners, the OGEC people, they were a little surprised. Their lawyers not going to show up. I mean, the only reason they haven't been interviewed for this is because they decided on their own not to show up.
Right. And they say in the beginning of that recording that, none of these people are here today, question mark, like, where are they? Okay. So no sanctions have been ordered, and there has been no verdict of guilty or innocence.
Just that they violated the law. Now, that doesn't mean anything, Mike. What's wrong with you? Just the fact that they say that they violated the law doesn't mean that they think they're guilty. Why? They just have no idea. What? What's happened to English?
Listen, you know what this is?
Who wrote this?
This is the quid pro quo for cronyism. This is why you protect the politicians in your hometown, and then they don't do bad things to you. And that's what this is about. So Hicks points out that the complainant, former Commissioner Sandy Casanelli, has filed a total of 8 complaints against the county since 2012.
What is the relevance of this sentence?
Well, this is supposed to be a mitigating factor. What it means is that, it's Sandy Casanelli. Don't you know this crazy gal who we finally got rid of, thank God? And, she was the one who did this, and they were just sick of having her file something, so they finally decided to do something about it just to placate her. That's what's going on here.
Sure what it looks like.
Okay, so none of those complaints have resulted in a final finding of violation. The OGEC has offered the 3 commissioners an opportunity to either negotiate the matter. Negotiate? Why negotiate? Negotiate
Why would
what?
you negotiate?
Why would you negotiate unless
Why would they offer them that?
Well, now we've got a boulder hanging over your head. Would you like to negotiate for a better position?
If this guy's going to write this article letting the commissioners off entirely, this is a stupid sentence to put in there.
It's dumb. So anyway, to negotiate the matter toward resolution or proceed to a contested hearing.
To proceed to a contested hearing?
Yeah.
About what?
I think that's already happened. They had a contested hearing and they didn't show up and defend themselves. Case closed. Hicks said, "This is an open and ongoing matter, and the commissioners have cooperated fully with the investigation."
Oh, really? Now, we heard in the recording that of the OGEC itself that that they had to issue subpoenas. Now, Cheryl Walker, when I made that speech on Wednesday announcing this, okay, hello, Daily Courier, you wouldn't know anything about this if we hadn't have announced it. Okay, we did it for 2 nights in a row and then went to the weekly business session and announced it. You didn't know anything about this, okay? You have nothing to do with this, Mr. Matthews. You obviously don't understand economic development. Look, what she was kind of making fun of, subpoena, yeah. So the only reason that we've seen the listing, we haven't got the documents yet. We're asking for them because they did not give out all the documents. Not the commissioners, we're never going to get those from them, but it says, we spoke with the lawyer for these guys early on, and then we issued a subpoena. Now, so let me ask you this question, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. Why would you have to issue a subpoena if the commissioners had been fully cooperative in all ways?
Yeah, and typically, probably in a civilian legal situation like that, you would ask for the evidence that you want, and then if they don't give it to you, you would subpoena them. It may well be that they were doing this just as a matter of procedure, and issuing subpoena regardless of
now let's suppose that you were.
I'm speculating.
Oh, that's speculation. That's right. Yes. And what do we know? As Cheryl Walker, you're not a lawyer. Yeah, I don't need to be one. But okay. So no, we're just the ones that turned up the evidence. Thank you very much. But you're nothing. Okay. So look, if you're a commissioner and you've been under doubt for quite a while, for a variety of reasons, including that vote that was 80% against your brilliant ideas, and you got the State Ethics Commission finally, after 8 complaints from Sandy Casanelli, okay, finally after all that, they're asking you for information, and you want to appear to be the most open government in the entire world. In the entire world, that's what Simon Hare said. Then you turn over the information gladly anytime you go there. You appear before them. You give them anything that they ask for. Look, we're totally innocent. We've done absolutely nothing wrong, as the commissioners say. Then you give them everything, which will prove you've done nothing wrong. You make them wait for a subpoena?
And Cheryl knows this because she knows public meeting law very well. So she knows she's innocent. So so that's why they didn't have to go, because she was very, very confident in her innocence in that particular.
Okay, so we get responses from people, of course we do, and so this is from one of our loyal listener.
One of our loyal listener.
Yeah, he says, "Man, oh man, are you laying on the pressure? Hilarious that you forced Walker into doubling down on misrepresenting the facts and conclusions in this case. Look, send us an email that says you're full of it, and we'll read that. And we may quote you. Okay.
This address right here.
Yeah. What a belly laugh when she proclaimed in a public forum that the case is only in a preliminary investigation phase and that she has not yet even testified. Then you broadcast a tape of the Ethics Commission members incredulously reciting the message from the commissioner's lawyer that neither commissioners nor legal representation would bother to make an appearance before the Ethics Commission, then voting unanimously to hold them liable."
Incredulous, it's funny because we were talking about the origin of the word credit today at this constitution class that I was going to today, and credit, credibility, and then of course that's credulous, incredulous. So incredulous, that's Cheryl's word.
Yeah, I'm just incredulous that anyone would.
Yes.
You've heard Simon say this in the past. Why, I'm flabbergasted that anyone would question our integrity. Simon, you're flabbergasted? Well, anyway, and Matt, he says, imagine the commissioner's raw fear of being in an adversarial cross-examination venue over which they have no control. We're going to cut off your mic. I don't think so. At this point, I cannot imagine any of them having the linguistic chops to spout anything but the doublespeak. I've condensed this a little bit. They have grown accustomed to in reciting to the official stenographers that pass for media around here.
That's a pretty accurate statement.
Yeah. What about the fallout for their arrogance when the Ethics Commission takes on the complaint about their blatant self-dealing over the hemp issue?
Yeah, right. Exactly. You know what? This is as much of an indictment of the media around here as it is these commissioners, really, because they let all this stuff happen under their nose without. Listen, what do they call the media? The fourth estate,
the fifth estate.
Fifth estate. I'm sorry, I knew it was one of those. And they're supposed to be watching out after this kind of stuff. They're supposed to be the ones calling out corruption. What's going on?
Well, you saw what Cajo reported. They're in bed with the commissioners. Right. It's like this advertising circular that goes around the county. That guy has said, well, this is kind of a newsletter for the Chamber of Commerce. Well, this is why he says Cheryl Walker is everybody's favorite commissioner. The editor of the newspaper out in IV is the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Well, you can't have a newspaper editor that's president of the Chamber of Commerce. That's not a newspaper anymore. Okay? We'll never be on the Chamber of Commerce. And so this guy continues. Can you imagine the buyer's remorse that Wally Hicks must be feeling for aligning interest with these charlatans? He initially appeared to be so ethical and intelligent, yet fell in line with their games and may be looking to pay a heavy price for his lapse in judgment. And look at what he said to Cajo. Well, there's nothing. I truly wondered if there was ever going to be a payoff for your often recited heck line about knowing the law, breaking the law, and not caring. Cha-ching! It just paid off. You appeared to have shut him down completely at the WBS, at the weekly business session. Side note, so glad to see your defense mechanism so sharply honed regarding the bullying that Heck so often likes to throw your way when you're speaking at the podium. You should adjust that microphone. You should do this. You should do that. It's just an attempt to throw your focus off, but you never fall for it. It's true. I said, thank you very much, and then I just kept going. There was nothing wrong with my mic level. Simon... Yeah,
actually, it did need to come up a little bit. I thought, I was sitting there and I thought, well, and sometimes this is an interesting thing that happens. That Dale gets up there and he starts, hitting the pace, and then he's coming up on the microphone, and sometimes the microphone is almost like on top of him, and you hear it rustling on his shirt, So he's like leaning forward into these guys, and listen.
I get louder as I get more into the story.
Right.
Always start off real low. And then once I get rolling a little bit, as Mike says, I get a little louder. Okay. Simon appears to be the only one of the three with any firing synapses. Great footage of him acting with full awareness of the camera in the little back room at their last meeting back there, because he knows the camera's watching him. He seems to be the only one that knows that. And then this fellow mentions that the AP has picked up the story. Thank you very much. So that's kind of interesting that that now, as I said, Simon Harris finally got the national recognition he wanted.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Okay, so let's see. I wanted to point out, these are little bits and pieces of things, interlocking deals. We did, I said that we would, and we did get information about this EMPG. Mike? EMPG.
EMPG. That sounds like something that'll give me better gas mileage.
Emergency Management Performance Grant.
Oh!
Right. And we were talking about that, how the county has to put in $94,000 to match 50-50 grant to match with the federal government. But Cheryl says, well, don't worry about it. It's only $3,000, and this is a really good deal for $3,000. And I thought, this seems strange. And Mike, remember we were talking about how does a 50-50 grant, and it says that on the contract. It was signed by the commissioners, signed by Keith Heck. why would you sign a contract? Why wouldn't you wait before signing a contract? If the contract clearly says it's a 50-50 match, the contract clearly says it's $94,000 from us, from our county, from our general fund. $94,000 for a county that's hanging on by its fingernails. And you would sign this. Why would you sign this? Where do we get that money? And why would you buy the idea that there's any question about how much it's for?
Well, clearly, her reading of this contract is similar to her reading of Oregon public meeting law.
So what I did is I went down to the county and I thought, well, for a further clue about what the truth is about this, Cheryl Walker said, well, we've done this in the past. Okay, so what have we done in the past? What's this contract that we signed in the past? And I'm paging through it here. And was it a 50-50 grant then? Yes, it was. And how much was that for? Was that for $94,000? So there's two questions here. While I'm pulling this up, Mike, why don't you talk about the idea of signing well, we just talked about that. Don't bother. Okay, so the question is, how much, unless you want to talk about it, how much was this grant for? Okay, in the past, and did we sign that one also? Yes, we did, and I've got pages and pages here, and we always have to pay for this. That's what we do. We're working our fingers to the bone just for you. And so how much were the ones in the past? And if I cannot find the right thing, then I'm just going to make up all the details. I'm sure there's people who believe that anyway. How much was it for in the past? Well, as it turned out, the one just before this was for 2 years ago. It was for $15,000. We put in $15,000, and the feds put in $15,000.
Boy, that's quite an increase.
Now, that was 2 years ago. $15,000 for all of our emergency management needs. $15,000. That's not even going to pay one person's salary. All of our emergency management needs for $15,000, and that was signed.
You mean as it relates to this grant?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now Cheryl's saying it's only $3,000, but 2 years ago we paid $15,000. That's a little strange, but that was a 50-50 match.
What did we pay last year?
What we paid last year was, wait, don't tell me.
Okay, all right. I will try not to blow the, and I won't be able to blow the thing because I can't remember what you told me here. Because my brain is like a block of Swiss cheese. Sometimes the stuff stays in, and other times it runs out the holes.
You and one of the candidates for county commissioner. Okay, so don't send me any letters about that, you buddy. Okay, so $15,000 2 years ago. Then it jumped up to $66,000 last year.
Wow, that's substantial.
And this year it's $94,000. So there's two questions. One is, every time it was a 50-50 grant, and every time we paid the same amount as the federal government. They put in 15, we put in 15. They put in 66, we put in 66. Why? First of all, first question, why this time are we signing a contract saying 94.94, but claiming there's 3,000? Okay.
Well, that's easy.
Yeah, because it's lie.
Because it's Cheryl.
Yes.
Listen. You know what? Lie shows intent. I don't think she was lying in this particular case. I think she genuinely did not know.
But why would they sign this thing when there's a question? Even Simon was saying, well, hasn't this been 50-50 in the past?
Yes,
Simon, if you have a question, say, no, wait. I'm not going to sign this. I don't want anyone signing this until I get an answer to my question. Isn't that what you have an opportunity coming up here, you guys? It's going to be in 6 months. You have an opportunity where you get people, you need 2 of them now, who won't sign such a thing until they get an answer to their question.
Or they remember what they read, the day before about this. I mean, how tough is that? There isn't that much to this. What it does say very, very clearly is that it's a 50% grant and it's $93,517 or somewhere thereabouts. I mean,
That's very good. It was
Not
93,715. That's right. Very
Oh,
good.
okay, all right. Yeah, all the numbers were there. They were just,
Yeah, they were just transposed. And she said it was 33.27 is all we'd have to pay. She
yeah,
didn't even acknowledge the 93. She did acknowledge 97. Where that number came from, I don't know. But she was just
yeah,
blathering. It was crazy. Okay,
yeah.
but here's the
Yeah,
other
it's
question.
clear.
Here's the other question. What the heck is going on with this thing, and what's it for? When it was $15,000 2 years ago, it was $66,000 last year, and now it's 94. What kind of, this is
Yeah,
Washington D.C. kind of budgeting?
yeah. I want to know
Why
what's
would we
going on
want
there.
to, no matter what we spent? Let's put that aside because this is Cheryl talking, so you can just say, okay, nothing but, okay, don't use the word lies, Dale. Nothing but misrepresentations. Okay, not guilty, just not maximum efficiency and transparency. Yeah, we'll be very polite with the language. What in the world's going on with this same task that cost 15,000, then 66,000, then 94,000? Where does that end? What's it going to be next year? 160,000? That's what the trend shows, doesn't it? For what? One, we don't know what, and
Right.
why is it growing so fast?
Yeah, this is what they call baseline budgeting. It sounds like, this is those are the kind that go up every year, because you used, and then you have to use all of that money so that then you can justify your budget increasing. I don't know that that's what's going on here. I think it would be interesting to know, because there's enough people that want to know, what is this money being spent on? What exactly are they preparing for? And, we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on it. How's that going? Are we getting to the goal here? What's happening?
Well, then you could potentially say, look, let's suppose someone came to you tonight. They showed up at your door in a costume, okay? Mm. And they said, listen, you can buy the state of Alaska, all of it, oil reserves, caribou, ice. You can buy all that stuff for $1 million, but you need to come up with it right now. Well, it wouldn't matter if it was 5 billion, trillion, whatever.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter if it was 10,000.
So now they say, well, all you need to put up is 15,000. Okay, we're cash strapped, but we can do that. Oh, now all you need to put up is 66,000. Okay, we're hanging on. We can't afford law enforcement. We can put up 66,000. Now all you need to put up is 94,000. First of all, where's that going to end? And the second is, we don't have the money. So you say to them, look, we don't have that. We got 15. Well, that's all we'll match. Okay, but that's all we have.
Right.
Take the 15.
Yes. I just see, you know what? They don't tell us the truth about this kind of stuff. We're not getting the straight dope when it comes to,
you got that feeling?
The budget and how much money they have, and, where they're at, and vis-a-vis the fiscal cliff. It's come on.
Now, we've got, also I put in a request for information because Keith X said in the newspaper that it was costing them $5,000 to, see, all these stories are interlocking. This is why this logo up here. $5,000 to answer these questions from, first of all, I don't think that we should have to pay anything for that. I mean, I'll pay for the documents so that you can see them. But why would the taxpayers, and he said there was taxpayer money, pay anything to defend law-breaking commissioners?
Yeah,
he said it was costing you $5,000 to defend them from their lawbreaker.
Well,
okay,
we'll see.
So what I did is I put in a request saying, I want to know, how is that money spent? Line by line. Who did the work? What's their hourly rate? What's the justification for them doing this? Who approved this? If he's going to claim is costing you $5,000, and that's just for now, why?
Well, listen, if it was legitimate to spend county money on this, why wouldn't it be Wally Hicks defending them? If it's legitimate to take county money and spend it on their defense, why would they not have Wally Hicks defending them?
Well, instead of some outside lawyer? they decide to throw Wally under the bus. Well, you know, we had this guy watching over us, and the reason to do that, we mentioned this before, is that if legal counsel gave them advice to do something that's illegal, they may not have to pay a fine. They do know it's illegal because Keith has admitted he knows that it's illegal.
Oh, and Cheryl's an expert, so.
Right. So there's no doubt, you know, even though I'm not a lawyer, he's not a lawyer. We don't need to be lawyers for this.
No.
Okay, so I want to know, how did they spend the money? Let's see how they answer that question. They're not going to want to answer that question. It'll cost you $105 to find out, Mr. Matthews. We'll let you know. Okay, so Mike has something to say about something else that happened on the Thursday admin meeting, because that is what we're talking about. That's where most of the action happens. And they were talking about water monitoring. And Mike has one very important question to ask the county commissioners about why the county would be paying to monitor water that's used to water a park.
Yeah, why are you doing it? You know, no, you know, this is one of those things that, you know, we look out for our own interests, you know, and so why are we looking out for the city's interests, especially when the city has, you know, there's an apparatus there that gets paid for water. Now, listen, since water comes so cheap, there's a profit being made in selling water to people. Okay, that's not just for covering the costs of whatever. So, you know, and then somehow they can afford to spend $6,000 on a sign, but they don't have any money to test the water that might poison all the citizens of the city.
Now, I'm not sure that sign was paid for by the city. I think it was paid for by John Bowen and some of these other guys who want to advance his logo.
And that's a good point. I wonder if John Bowen cares about the water.
That's a real good question. And what about the Chamber of Commerce people that back this up? Do they care about the water in Grants Pass?
Listen, the city should be covering that, but that's the, you know, that's a different.
Now, we've got
if I gave some other question in a discussion that I had with you, please remind me, because I have forgotten it.
No, that's it.
If I had some other stellar point, you know, sometimes they come and they go, but as soon as they go, they're gone.
Stellar point. Mike would have a stellar point.
Yeah.
Stellar. Look, we've got more to talk about Thursday, but we're not going to talk about tonight because we're running out of time.
Oh, but I think we should tell people about daylight savings time.
Going to do that. Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
And you know what? I was going to, you know, get all the information about it, but I thought I found a video clip that sums it all up.
Oh, brother. Okay.
Okay. So here that is.
We've got another video clip, but we'll show it another time.
Hello?
You're here early.
I thought I was late.
Check again.
They call it daylight savings. They said it would help the farmers. They didn't expect it to destroy everything else.
It gets dark so early now.
We gained an hour, but we've lost light.
Wait, didn't we lose an hour?
No, we spring forward, fall back. Or is it fall forward?
It's too confusing.
Don't you see what's happening? All the people are going to have to change their clocks back. We have to warn them.
Early bird catches the worm.
Tina, you have to come with me.
Where are we going?
We're going to a place where daylight savings doesn't exist. They call it Arizona.
You can't run from this. It doesn't add up!
Don't you see? Daylight savings is just an imaginary construct. It's daylight saving. It's not plural.
This is tearing us all apart! Too late!
No, remember, we gained an hour. What time is it?
We're running out of time!
You want to buy an hour?
Run!
You're not afraid of the dark, are you?
Select the clock
Where
icon. No, hold the button menu.
Okay.
Select the clock icon.
Where's okay?
Click the clock icon.
clicking it.
Jesus, you're back at the menu.
All right.
Okay, so that should be totally clear now. What's going on here?
Now tonight.
Okay,
Tonight at
clock
2
back.
a.m. Okay, you can call tomorrow
Wake
morning.
up at 2 a.m. and set your clock back.
Before you go to bed tonight. Set your clock back. So whatever time you go to bed, you know, like some of the people we know, 8 o'clock right after the show, or others, midnight, you scoundrels, set it back 1 hour. Okay. So you're going to get extra sleep. I don't, because I'm always editing videotapes. All right. Now that's tonight. Tonight, set your clocks back tonight when you go to bed. We're probably going to put in.
No, that would be tomorrow. Oh, no, you're right.
Okay. Tonight. Now,
see, it's so confusing.
Yeah, with the coverage that we've been getting from this story that the Courier says we had nothing to do with, we're going to probably put in for some kind of award. So you may be watching a pre-award-winning kind of show. We're not guilty of winning an award yet. First, we have to appeal it, and then you're going to have to subpoena us for the information. Look, one more thing is, don't forget on Tuesday night, we'll be on at 8 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock live. And for those of you who don't care, I don't live in the city, or I love spending extra money on taxes. Well, you do buy things here in Grants Pass, don't you? Sometimes. If you want to know right away, if you don't want to know right away, why, you can wait for the Daily Courier to come out in a couple of days, and they'll tell you about it because you just don't care. Or you can wait for the TV stations in Medford. One of them said that maybe next month they're going to, whatever. So we'll have it immediately. The moment it happens, we're going to be live right there. And then you can see Art Harvey walk by like we don't exist. And then, but somebody will grab a copy of that because he handed it out to everybody in the hallway. Except for us.
We need to have, okay, so we're going to have one person holding the camera, and then Gail's going to be in front of the camera, and then we need a third person to grab a copy of that and look like they're not with us at all.
Right,
you know?
That's right. That's right.
So
Well, that's
that
what
way
happened last time. That's literally what
Yes.
happened, is somebody else grabbed a copy and handed it to me.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
This is what's necessary because we're not media of any kind. You're not watching anything. What's the matter with you? So anyway, we're going to have.
So we're taking volunteers if you want.
Yes, that's what we're going to mob the place.
Just send an email at badcounty@cpros.com if you want to be.
That's right. We are getting emails from you, and we're getting lots of likes, people clicking on it. Thank you very much for that. So we're going to have more footage for you, including Simon Hare. This will probably be tomorrow night, saying this is about fiscal conservatism. He's saying about a project that he favors. Let's just build it. Just build it unless there's a reason to say no.
Okay.
What?
All right.
He can't have said that. Well, I've got the footage where that's exactly what he says.
I think you could probably say that about any building project, right?
Let's just build it, even though we don't need it. They admit they don't need it.
Not to. Hey, there you go. This is why we're paying this guy the big bucks.
And the others are just like, So we're going to play that back for you. You shouldn't just believe us. You really do want to see the footage for yourself, but this has paid off for you every time in the past where we say, we got footage of them saying, no, they can't have said that. Oh, yes, they can. So you've got a lot coming up here. You got an election now. You got another election in 6 months. We'll just see how things go. And is the state right in coming down on these characters and saying they're doing things wrong? The Washington Times printing it up, who knows, the Times of New Delhi or something. And are they right now? How did these guys get into office? There's a very good question. And what are we going to do about it? Now it's in our court, the court of public opinion.